Thanks, Nompumelelo. Equatorial Guinea's Minister for Mines and Hydrocarbons, Gabriel Obiang, joins me in studio now. Thanks so much for your time on SABC News. We've seen that Brent crude oil rise about 30% this year alone. What's leading to that?
Well, I think there are some things that usually it's the production, but we do have different geopolitical matters that are not in control of the producers. We have the current situation in Venezuela, current situation in Iran, now we have Libya, even Algeria. So in reality, the prices really are affected by those geological situations. But also is the issue about the consumption, because you have big economies like China and the rest that have been a little bit stagnated or not growing the pace that they had been doing recently. I do believe as a producer, like we all producer, member of OPEC, we are happy with the price, because what we want is a stable price. We don't like volatility, and having a stable price is very important for both the producer, but also for the consumer for future planning.
So Equatorial's position on OPEC production cuts is? Well,
our position is that we need to monitor the price. And if we see that according to both production and consumers, there is a balance, we should maintain with that. I mean, the cut is not really to control the price. The cut are mainly to be able to evaluate if some of the members, producing members, because you have to remember that at this moment it's not anymore OPEC, it is OPEC and non-OPEC. Equatorial Guinea used to be a non-OPEC, we have joined OPEC. What this new collaboration have done is, for the first time in the history of this producing resource, we have OPEC members and non-OPEC members communicating. We initially were supposed to be having a meeting in April, and because of the current situation, and especially the balance that we have decided that we should continue monitoring, and then in June we will meet to be able to evaluate if we need to do any evaluation, continuation of the cut, or either do any decision that actually can maintain this stable pricing of the resource.
When it comes to Equatorial Guinea and how you deal with foreign companies that are operating in there, talk to us about that and the new content rules that you've got.
Well, what is happening is that 15 years ago, Equatorial Guinea was not well known in oil and gas, so we needed to attract investors. And I have to say the investor did a very good job. Companies like ExxonMobil, Marathon, the rest, and they make discoveries. They make the discoveries, they did all the development, they recover and amortize all the plants. So right now, Equatorial Guinea is not anymore an uncharted area. It's a place that is well known. So the companies need to understand that now we need to go into a new phase. And the new phase is what we call the local content. So we need to have more direct involvement on the local companies. At the same time, those assets that had been already amortized, we need to start taking control of it. I mean, it's very similar that in the mining industry, with the big difference that the oil goes much faster than that. So what is happening is that the operators are doing a good job. They are training nationals, they are having individuals, executive, but then the service companies are not doing the same thing. The service companies are coming, they are having millions and millions of dollars of contracts, they are finishing and they are leaving not doing that. So right now we are having a serious crackdown on service industry. And that excuse that, you know, if they don't come, they will believe. At this moment, there's so much competitiveness that a lot of local content, including in Africa, are willing to come to Equatorial Guinea and provide those services. So I would say the crackdown has been mainly on the service, not on the operator. The operators see Equatorial Guinea as a good place to invest. They have seen that they have made discovery, they have developed it, they have recovered all their investments. So clearly for them, it's a good place, but this is mainly for the service industry.
So what advice then would you give to South Africa, who's just had that big discovery of mostly gas around Mossel Bay, in terms of how to deal with companies that come in and are helping to extract oil and gas, and how to deal with that going forward?
Well, first thing is oil is different than the regular resource minerals that South Africa have, because mineral is a long-term period. Oil is much quicker. You can have a discovery, and in 4 or 5 years, you can produce completely and you finish. So, and it's also very both capital intensive, but very few labor intensive. So you have to be specialized. At this moment, the oil and gas resources and the use of it is changing so quick that it's very important that the technology is looked at. For example, Equatorial Guinea, when we have a gas discovery, we didn't have used to it. And immediately was the boom of LNG. And through that, we built an LNG plant. So at this moment, there's so much technologies that is very important for South Africa to be able to look at the new technology. And the other thing that happened to a lot of African countries is that before talking with the other, I'll call it brother and sister of Africa, they usually go other places. They go to Japan, Korea, United States, and those are completely different. So I think places like Nigeria, Equatorial Guinea, Algeria, Egypt are places that South Africa should have visit, evaluate what they have done, because clearly they will be able to get and gain more experience of how we have done it in that place and how we have benefit in it.
When it comes to benefits, there was a Human Rights Watch report that said that even though Equatorial Guinea makes a lot of money from oil and gas, it's not being properly distributed in terms of education and making sure that the people of Equatorial Guinea have access to basic services, and it's rather the money is going to large infrastructure projects, which also opens up the way for corruption or allegations of corruption. What's your response to that, and how have you tried to change that, if in any way?
Well, I think the way we are judged is wrong. I mean, it's like when somebody is judging China, they say China is like this, but they say China have done a great transformation. What they have to be seeing, developing countries like Equatorial Guinea, is not where it is right now, what it has been done. From 15 years ago, what Equatorial Guinea have been done, what have been achieved. We have been able to achieve, to have clearly the highest per capita on consumption of supplying of electricity, almost 80%. We have also supplied a lot of the index of water. We have a high percentage of literacy in the country. We have built a lot. The only thing that Equatorial Guinea have done very bad, and I recognize it, is that we have not been able to go out and explain to the world what we are doing. We recently, last week, finished a very important oil and gas conference that we were able to bring 1,100 Africans, oil and gas, to come to the country. Everybody was amazed, was Equatorial Guinea. And this has been really one of the key problems that we have done. We have not been able to market and explain to the world what we have been doing. Remembering that Equatorial Guinea is the only Spanish-speaker country in Africa. And in that neighborhood, compare what they have been done for 2-3 decades, Equatorial Guinea only have been 15 years. We have developed down things that none of the other places have done. And people who come to Equatorial Guinea, they get surprised. They say, but this is not what we're expecting. So I recognize that we have not done a very good job presented to the world. This is why we always invite people to come to Equatorial Guinea. Look what we have done. Look the road that we have continued. And unfortunately, a lot of those indications that, or data that have been presented are all data. Because right now, for example, one of the data that I have, they say Equatorial Guinea have, I believe, is 40-50% of electricity to the population, when actually it's 90% that is provided. So I think we have to improve in that, to prove to the world that what we have done in that period.
Thanks so much for your time. Equatorial Guinea's Minister for Mines and Hydrocarbons, Gabriel Obiang, joining me in studio there. Mpumelelo, it's over to you.